Hello and welcome back to Rams Talk Podcast. And I'd almost forgotten how to set the stream up today. It's been a few weeks since we've been here to talk about Derby, and we've got loads of stuff to talk about. Looking at Derby's current squad, or what's left of Derby's current squad, and trying to assess what we think John Eustace should be doing with the players that he's got. So, joining me today to go through everything. Firstly, we've got Callum Boocock. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, good. It's good to be. I say back. We're not even going into pre-season yet, so yeah, it'll be interesting. Be interesting chat.
Yeah, it certainly will be interesting. You know, it'll be interesting to see what Derby players we could end up missing for the season. Speaking of missing, a man who strikes the post more often than he probably should. We've got Ivan Little. How you doing, mate?
Let it go. Let it go. Yeah, no. I'm good, mate. I'm good. I'm very glad we're doing this, having stayed in the Championship rather than sort of debunking a League One side. So I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, I'm good.
Good man, yeah, it'd be horrendous, wouldn't it? We wouldn't have come back. I think we just stayed in hibernation until the first game of the season, probably. So basically, what we're going to do today is go through all of Derby's players that we've got contracts at the club. Obviously, Forsyth and Thompson are kind of hanging in the balance, so we'll cover them too. And looking at Derby's squad, it's quite obvious where we're missing players at the moment, because we've got 2 goalkeepers, we've got about 8 defenders, and then if you take Tomo out of it, you've got 3 midfielders and 4 attackers, and one of those attackers is Dejan Brown, who's, you know, obviously a youth player. So Derby are lacking a few players at the minute, but we'll start on goalkeepers, right? And I'm going to start on Jakob Zetterstrom. I think this is the easiest one. I put it in the thumbnail. It's so straightforward, Cal. It's a yes, isn't it?
Yeah, he's got to stick around. At the end of the day, that's what the club have done. They've invested in him, and he's definitely a club keeper. I think for years to come. I think you'd say unless he gets bought by a top Championship or Premier League club, I think he'll be with Derby for a fair few years.
I hope so, mate. And Ivan, I'm guessing you're probably on the same lines.
Yeah. I mean, like Cal said, he's one of sort of 3 or 4 players who we've actually invested money in this squad. So obviously he's sticking around. I'm a huge fan of him, so really happy for him to stick around.
Yeah, his development when obviously the new staff came in was massive, wasn't it, as well? Those balls started staying in play, he kept making the saves that he made, and yeah, he definitely impressed. But Callum, Josh Vickers is a different one. Now, I think, obviously, as a selfish point of view, I think I'd love to keep him at Derby. You know, he was a really good number 2, did a good job. But he's sort of creeping towards the end of his career. He's kind of been a number 2 for a few years now. What are your thoughts on Vickers?
Well, he's kind of perfect for what you need for a number 2, isn't he? He knows the club inside and out. He gets on well with all the players. He is good when he's called upon. I mean, the last back end of the season when Zetterstrom was injured, he was phenomenal, and some of the saves he did, considering how long the period of time was from when he last played, was amazing. I think from my perspective, he's been here when obviously he had his personal issues and the tragedy and stuff like that, and I think he's just built and grown with Derby, and it'd be amazing if he could finish his career with us. So yeah, I'd love to keep him around if he'd like it, and I think he'd be a good backup for Zetterstrom, and good in training, and a good keeper to keep him on his toes.
Great beard as well. You know, you don't see many beards like that kicking around the club at the minute. So yeah, you got to keep that about. Ivan?
Yeah, I'm the same. I think if you'd asked me before he kind of filled in at the end of the season there, I could have gone either way. It was, you know, I wouldn't have minded if he'd gone or stayed, but I think he actually played quite a big role in some of the saves he made, and just being able to slot in there at the back was actually really helpful for us at a really, really important time of the season. So I'd like to see him get, I think, rewarded by getting kept around.
Yeah, completely agree. I thought you were going to say something else then. I don't know why.
No, there's not too much I can say about the backup keeper. Yeah,
that's true.
That is true. Yeah. Keep him around.
Right, on to defenders. And now this is a contentious one at the moment. Kane Wilson, right? So Kane Wilson, I thought he had a really good end to the season. Under Eustace, I thought he developed a lot. He's clearly dangerous going forwards, but he clearly developed defensively as well, which is something that obviously he needed a little bit of work on. Stuff coming out on the forum about him turning deals down, about there being gaps between what he wants versus what he's currently on. Obviously, he signed his deal in League One, and he's now proven himself as a pretty solid Championship player. we all know how contracts work. Players hold on for a while and then eventually the deal gets done. So I wouldn't read too much into that. But Cal, I mean, this is the obvious one, isn't it? He's got to stick around.
Yeah, he does. I think the thing with his contract, he knows his self-worth, which is good as a player. He's a good bloke. He's not someone who strikes me as to hold the club to ransom or anything like that, to try and eke more money out of things. I think he just wants something that he's probably deserved. He's fought his way from where he was before he came to Derby. He's proved himself in League One and he's proved himself in the Championship. So I think he's definitely one to stick around for me. It'll be a very, very interesting to see what Eustace does with him moving forward, because I think if this system changes, then is he a right back? Do we look at him as maybe now a winger because he's so forwardly progressive? I think in terms of his defending, it was probably the only question mark you had if you did have a concern with him at right back. And I think since Steve Round came in, since John Eustace came in, his defending tenfold improved, just got so much better one-on-one defending. And I think that's kind of just meant that it's thrown a spanner in the works, because it means that you could put him at right back if he continues to carry on the trajectory he has. It would just be very interesting to see. But in long-winded answer, yes, I'll keep him.
Yeah, it's good to have the selection headache, isn't it? Oh no, do I play him at right back or right wing? I think the good thing for him is that he'll be on the pitch. He also listens to the podcast, so if we said no, he'd probably beat us up as well. So we can't really say that. Ivan, what do you reckon?
Yeah. Well, on that note, I'll definitely keep him. No, I would. I think he's obviously one of the more quality attacking players that we have, which is definitely going to play into how much money he asks for and what he goes forward, needing. Because there were parts of the season where he was literally the only sort of spark going forward. Where when he got injured a couple of times, we looked pretty poor going forward all season, but he was a big part of keeping that going forward a little bit. Like Cal said, there's a lot of talk about potentially going back to a 4 like Eustace wants to play, potentially. I don't know if that's, obviously we don't know if that's going to happen. And we've seen him a little bit playing at right back in a 4, and it's a little bit scary. I know he was better towards the end of the season, but I think he's better playing as a right wing back, obviously. So I think it's tricky with him, but you can't give a player of that quality up. He's got another year, so we're lucky in that sense that we've tied him down on his current contract going forward. But yeah, I'd like to see him get tied down for longer, because I think he's one of those players that still relatively young and can push on now that we've got a better system in place.
Yeah, and you've just got to hope that he can, can't you? I mean, the growth, like we said, he's had in the last couple of years has been up there with anyone else in the team. So yeah, it'd be good to see that. Moving on to Craig Forsyth. Now, obviously, Fozzie, we all want him to stay forever, and I'm still believing that. I think no news is good news in that case. He hasn't gone and signed for Barcelona. I know they're struggling at Liverpool for a new left back. He's not gone there. So, yeah, obvious one for me. Fozzie, stick around. Cal?
Yeah, got him to stick around. It'd be amazing if he can, and if he wants to. I think it's down to him.
Ivan?
Yeah, same thing. I think it's really important to keep players like that around who can they're like the glue of the team, even though he does have a lot to contribute to the team. Just having someone there that knows the system, knows the ground, knows everything about Derby County is not really something that you got to wait 10 years like we have for stuff like that. So you can't just give that up too easily.
And he's also second in Derby's goals and assists record for this year with 7. So you can't lose that kind of output. It'd be a real worry for our forward line if we lose someone of that caliber. Sondra Langus, Callum, another really easy one. I mean, we couldn't sell him even if we wanted to, because he wouldn't pass a medical anywhere. But he was really good. Even though he had one leg, he was very good towards the end of the season. He's one that Derby are going to build around, surely, going forwards.
Oh, 100%. I think he, again, it's same as Zetterstrom. The club's invested in him in the overseas market. He's proven in a very short window what he can do, and it'd be amazing to see his growth over the next couple of years. Touch wood, he stays with us. I think, again, same thing with Zetterstrom. The only reason you wouldn't choose to keep him is if a big price tag came on him, like we've just seen in the news today.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've seen already, we got a big price tag for cash in. We got Langus in. So who would be next? Who'd be next through that door? Ivan?
Yeah, obviously same thing. I thought he was fantastic when he played this year. Even more amazing that he played with one leg and was injured practically the whole time he was here. So yeah, he's fantastic. Got to keep him around for as long as possible, and he's a real great start to having a big sort of spine of the team going into next year.
Yeah, definitely, and especially if we're going into a 4, his pace as well is going to make a huge difference. Something we've not had many quick centre backs in ever, so having one will be nice. And this takes us on to, I think, probably our first actual genuinely difficult to answer one, and it's Callum Elder. Now, football-wise, Callum Elder has been fantastic. I thought genuinely last season, even during the difficult bits, Elder always played well. And after he was so, well, off it in League One, he came up to the Championship and he was fantastic. Barely ever put a foot wrong. He put in some really good balls to win his games as well. And the problem is, Callum, he's never fit. And that leaves us in a weird position where, do we keep Callum Elder around knowing we're probably going to have the same issues as before? Will he still struggle for fitness? Or do we try and move on and bring someone else in that's a bit more of a gamble? What do you think?
I think we do need to bring someone. I think we need to bring in two left backs because I think just the lack of depth there is plain to see. But I would keep him because again, he's shown when he is fit the quality he has got, and he does suit the Championship. He suited it a lot more than he did in League One, and I've got a real soft spot for him over the last couple of years, and he's been my he's been my unsung hero over the last couple of years, and I think he has improved immensely. And it's just that injury record. So what I'd do is probably keep him around for the squad. He knows the place, he knows the squad, he knows the management, and he can be there as a very solid backup, and hopefully he can stay fit. But we do need to sign for competition for him because at the moment he's got him and Fozzie.
Yeah, probably would agree with you, mate. Probably would agree. Ivan, what do you reckon, mate?
Yes, I mean it's all dependent, isn't it? If we can sign one or two left backs who are going to stay fit all year and better quality than him, then of course I'd be fine letting him go. But I think he really weirdly was so much better in the Championship than he was in League One, which was strange. But I think he's done more than enough to warrant keeping around. I can't imagine he's on a ridiculous contract or anything that would sort of harm us going forward. So I'd be happy to keep him. And yeah, it seems like he's quite an integral member of the sort of like morale of the group. So I always like keeping people like that around.
Yeah, he's clearly a good lad. We've spoken to him a few times. Always a really nice guy. Always up for a chat. And yeah, like you say, he seems to laugh as well. And like I say, you want players like that in your team. You can't just have, boring professionals. No one wants boring professionals. You want players that give you, a little bit of something to laugh about, especially in the dressing room. So yeah, I'd agree. I think he's probably a good one to keep around. Now, we've got a player that didn't actually make an appearance last year, Callum. He's had a couple of very serious injuries. He goes by the name of Jake Rooney. Adam Titley's favourite player, possibly ever. I mean, would you keep him around?
Yeah, it's a tough one because I think Rooney's one of them that he's now getting into what I can't remember his exact age without looking it up off the top of my head, but he's in the early 20s, and he's one of them that's going, will he actually make any impact on the squad? We've signed Langas, who again is his only early 20s, and he's now the investment for the future. Rooney was kind of one of them where he's on the periphery of the squad, he's struggling to get in. He obviously had his injuries, and there's that then black mark on him because of the injuries against his name. So I would sell him, but then where would he go in terms of who would want him, because he hasn't played that much football? I mean, I see him like a fauna, maybe going out and maybe getting a loan and then potentially a move permanently after that. But I think I just don't see him getting any game time at all. So it would be a sell/loan move.
Yeah, the car alarms finally stopped going off outside as well, so I can speak again. That worried me for a minute. I didn't know how long that was going to go on for. I think I'd probably agree, Cal. I'd probably send him out on loan. I think he deserves a loan. I think he deserves a chance out on loan, and then if he can come back and make that impact, great. I think Eustace made it very clear that he probably wasn't going to get any minutes last season. So, Ivan, you on the same sort of boat?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind him going out on loan. Obviously, it's difficult to see sort of behind the scenes because we haven't seen anything of him, haven't seen a loan, haven't seen him play at all. I think I'd be fine with whatever sort of Eustace wants to do because I'd sort of trust that in the parts where he was fit enough to play. I don't think he has played. Doesn't necessarily feature on the bench that much. It's difficult for me to say. Like, do they like him? Do they not like him? He hasn't, gotten a new contract or anything like that. So I'd be fine with him going out on loan, but I wouldn't be, I don't think I'd be up at night if he'd got sold. I wouldn't be worrying too much about that. So it's one of those ones. If they've seen enough behind the scenes to keep him around, then I'm fine with that.
Yeah, it's a shame, isn't it, with Rooney? He really started to look good in League One before. I mean, the fact that it was one of the balls off the pitch that caused it as well. The balls there around the pitch. He was trying to get out of the way of the ball and ended up landing awkwardly, twisting his knee, tearing his ACL. It's a really unfortunate way for his Derby career to sort of peter out. So I think a loan would do him some good, get him some more senior minutes. I'm sure a League One team would happily gamble on him, seeing how good he was at Derby, because he was good as well at times, especially sort of playing as a right centre back and overlapping prime Phil Jagielka style down that right wing, which was nice to see. So yeah, I think he's got a future, but I'm not sure it's at Derby. So yeah, if he does go, wish him all the best because he clearly deserves it. But on to Joe Ward. Now, Joe Ward was a weird one. Obviously, a lot of fanfare when he signed. Looks a bit like Beckham, and by that he shaved his head. Really good at crossing. We saw against Matlock in that first game. He whipped one in, I think, to Collins, and we scored off it. And we're like, this is it. This is how we're winning the league. And then when he actually played in an actual game, I never really was impressed with him. He had a decent game against Portsmouth, but then he sort of fell off after that. What do you reckon, Cal?
Yeah, I mean, he had a good game. I think he came in for, was it Burnley, and had a decent game in that one. And I think it's tough because you see that he's dedicated. I mean, on his own social media, if anyone follows him, he's now started already pre-season training. He's trying to keep himself conditioned. He's obviously trying to impress whoever, whether it's Derby or if he's trying to impress other suitors or whatever. But he just never really seemed to. The moves, it's similar to Sonny Bradley. It's just never got going at Derby County, and I just think it's probably best for all parties if he does move on. But again, he hasn't had much football, so I don't know who's looking at him going, yeah, we really want him, because he's just not been on the pitch to be able to even look at.
Well, yeah, it's a hard one. And I mean, it was that Portsmouth game, wasn't it, where he suddenly became Ronaldo for 20 minutes, and then he picked up that knee injury and he didn't really come back for the rest of the season. And then he suffered a recurrence of that knee injury again. And he just seems to be having constant problems with the same knee. I remember there was a thing that came out saying he had loads of problems with fluid in his knee and it just wasn't getting any better. And it does make you think, well, again, he's another one that's been unlucky, hasn't he? He's been unlucky. I mean, don't get me wrong, when he played, Burnley aside, I completely forgot about that, Cal. I thought he was really impressive in that game. But pretty much every other game he's played, he's not really looked that great. He's a wide player. He can't really run with the ball. He's not that quick. He's got a great delivery on him, but that's about it. And when you're quite one-dimensional as a player, it's a bit Paul Warney, isn't it? You can only really do one thing. Warne wanted balls in the box non-stop, and that was the whole game plan. Things have changed now, and I think it won't really work for Joe Ward again. So, Ivan, you in the same boat?
Yeah, it's an easy one for me. I really like him. I really hope. I think it'll obviously probably be a League One side that would pick him up. And I really hope that he stays fit and can show the quality that he does have, because I always love players like that who can just have that bit of quality, like whipping the ball in and just strikes a dead ball really well. So yeah, easy one for me. It's a shame. Fell in love with him in that Portsmouth away game. Just couldn't believe what I was watching 2 years ago now, or a year and a half ago. But yeah, I think it's quite an easy one. That just let him move on to a club further down the leagues.
Yeah, I thought Jamie was going to shave his head in support of Joe Ward at some point, but it just never quite worked out. So we never got to see that, unfortunately. On to Ryan Nyambe. Now, Ryan Nyambe is a weird one because he's clearly a decent defender. He was in League One. He looked like the best right back of all time. No one could get around him. in the Championship, it's a bit different and players are a bit better. And you start getting players that have dropped down from the Premier League and have that bit extra quality on the ball and can beat a man a little bit easier. And I don't think he looked quite as solid in the Championship. Now, he's had basically 2 seasons of near constant injuries. In fact, I didn't realise just how few games he'd actually played for Derby whilst he's been here. You know, he's not even completed a full season worth of games in nearly 2 seasons at the club. So, Callum, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's probably one of the toughest in terms of the defenders to answer. I think because of the situation we have at right back, again, we've only got him and technically Wilson currently. It's the same as the left back position. So on paper, as it stands with the squad, you'd say keep just again for cover. But then if we sign 2 right backs again, I'd let him go just purely down to the injury record. And as you said, coming back from, I think, the second injury, I can't remember what it was, but he just seemed to never really get going and he struggled and he seemed to really struggle with the pace of the Championship. And it's a shame because League One, genuinely, I thought he was one of the best one-on-one defenders I've seen at the club in a long while.
I agree.
So it's a shame that he's not been able to replicate it in the Championship. It could be like Elder in League One, in the Championship, where he gets a decent run and he turns into the best right back we've ever seen. So we'll see. We'll see. I think it all depends on who we bring him.
Yeah, I agree with that one. And the main thing for me is that you talk about players and weaknesses. You know, we talked about Wilson, maybe not as amazing defensively. The players always have, you know, a couple of weaknesses. With Nyambe, there's a very hard line where defending, he's all right at that. Going forwards, he might as well not be on the pitch, Ivan. I mean, what are you thinking?
Yeah, well, I always remember what Kane Wilson said in that interview where he said if you sort of mixed me, Nyambe and Joe Ward, you'd probably have the best right back in the world, to be honest, because they're just all brilliant at different things. It's a sell for me. I really like him, loved him in League One. I just think he's injured far too much, and it's not like someone like Elder where he's injured quite a lot, but he's shown you enough in the Championship where he's still at the age where he can produce. I do think he had some good moments. I'm physically scarred from that Preston game where he got injured trying to play it back to the keeper, and I dread to think that if we'd lost that and went down, I would never be able to forgive him. I'd remember that forever. So for that reason, I'm not for that reason, but partly because of that, I'd be all right with him walking this summer.
Yeah, I think just as long as we get the right cover in, isn't it? Really?
Yeah,
it's one of them where you'd happily keep him around, but at the same time, if we get the improvements in the squad, I think he's one I wouldn't be too precious about us having to let go if we needed to. Again, with great thanks as well. Obviously, part of the promotion team. He's done a really good job at Derby. So always good to see. Always seems to be the end of the season when he disappears as well. I just clocked. It was end of last season as well, wasn't it? He must have some holiday booked or something. Never know. Like Neymar, it's just his birthday or something like that. Yeah, what's going on there? What's going on there? We're still in the defenders, by the way. We're over halfway through the list, so keep that in mind. We've also got Matt Clark. I mean, this is the easiest one ever. He's just signed. He's not going anywhere. We're keeping him.
Yeah, I mean, I'd sell him. You get a decent fee out of him now. He's signed a 3-year deal. I mean, yeah, we could sign him on a free, sell him for profit. I mean, it's good decisions. He's definitely a keep.
Yeah, he's got to stay. I love Clark so much. He's one of my favorite defenders for sure. I think he's fantastic. So yeah, I would keep him on. So I would have said I was begging for them to keep him the whole, like, from the second the season ended. So really happy he'll be around. I get to see his bald head next year again in the team. So
yeah, Baldini. What a player. Yeah. Loves a Cruyff turn. Loves a Cruyff turn into traffic as well, which is always scary. Always somehow gets away with it. I don't know how he does it.
I don't know how he does it
either. And on to the final defender. A defender that was never present when we got promoted. Went up to the Championship. Looked a little bit wobbly. Had a couple of games where I do think he genuinely cost us points and goals. But he did play okay. He played a big part. Scored a couple of important goals. Really good header against QPR. and then picked up a serious knee injury and missed the rest of the season. Curtis Nelson. I mean, this is a difficult one for me because I love Curtis Nelson. I think he was excellent in League One. I think he's probably a top end League One, bottom end Championship player. And I think at times when we tried to move the ball, he showed his limitations. And whilst Cashin sort of adapted and still looked really good on the ball and really calm and composed, Nelson sometimes looked like he was being chased at all times. And you could see the panic. I remember Sheffield United, I think I brought it up before, that one at Sheffield United where he just picked up the ball and just sprinted down the middle of the pitch for apparently no reason, gave it away. We were forced to give a free kick away and they scored, and that was the winning goal. And Callum, it's a difficult one. We don't know exactly when Nelson will be back. It's expected to be during the summer. Obviously, off a serious knee injury. He's in his 30s. He's probably not going to get a kick, realistically, with Langus and Clark and, well, even Fozzie as well in front of him. If Fozzie does sign, you better sign Fozzie. I'll be fuming if you don't. I mean, what's the future for Curtis Nelson?
Yeah, tough one. I think I've currently got him down as keep again, just as a backup. I think, and that's purely down to what he showed with the partnership with Cashin. I think him and Cashin were absolutely outrageous together. And just as a pure defender, very, very good. It's just the ball at his feet is terrifying. Which in the Championship, the way you kind of need your defenders to be able to play with the ball, especially with the back four. That's my only question mark. So yeah, currently as a keep, but if we sign one centre half, genuinely, I think one, I think I'd let him go.
So you say sell. Thank you, Callum. Ivan.
I'd probably keep him. I think he's probably one of the leaders of the dressing room. I think he's, while he has his limitations, like I think his pace was the thing that really, really stuck out to me. The amount of times I'd see someone sort of half run past him and he'd be, 5 minutes behind them. So I don't think he'll, again, like Cal said, if we can get another centre back in who will probably play minutes, I'm not going to lose sleep over him going. But I think, I don't know, he's a big centre back, seems to be a bit of a leader in the dressing room. I wouldn't mind keeping him. Again, like we seem to have quite a few defenders, so it might not be necessary. But yeah, until we get adequate cover, I'm fine with him sticking around. I think he'll come back from that injury fairly well, whether that be for us or for another team.
I think I probably agree with both of you there because, again, from footballing reasons, he shouldn't be starting for us realistically with the players that we've got and, the trajectory we're hoping to push, pushing towards mid-table, pushing towards hopefully above that. I don't think he's the man. But as you mentioned there, Ivan, his influence behind the scenes is huge and he's clearly a big character in the dressing room. He doesn't show it a lot of the time when you talk to him. He's a very closed book, but when you hear the players talk about him and, the leadership that he's shown, it's clearly something. So selfishly, from a Derby perspective, he'd be a great guy to keep around and a really good backup centre half. If someone drops out, Nelson's going to drop into that position and put a right shift in and some people might get past him as long as they run, but no one's going to beat him in the air. No one's going to bully him off the ball. He's going to give everything for the cause. So for that reason, I'd keep him. For Nelson's career, I'd say probably go. Because he's, like I say, he's another one. He's in his 30s. He's probably not got many years left at a good level. Make the most of it, mate. You've had a serious knee injury. You're probably not going to play more than a couple of years of football. Drop to League One, go to a promotion-chasing League One club and get another promotion on your CV and, play every game. The last thing you want to do at that age is sit on the bench. So, yeah, I don't know. It's a difficult one, isn't it? It's a difficult one. Which leads us to midfielders. We finally left defender 29 minutes in, and we finally got out of defenders. And
it's actually really bad at how bad this squad is in terms of it's how it's distributed between defenders, strikers, and wait till we get to strikers. We'll be done in 2 minutes.
Yeah, it won't be a long one, I don't think. And it kicks us off with probably the easiest one. I'm going to go to the easiest one first, and it's Ibu Adams. Right, we're keeping him. Cal?
Yep, keep.
Ivan?
Yeah. Nothing to say.
Thought so. It was going to be controversial. Get him gone. Get him out. But no, thankfully, we've all seen sense. Which leads us on to another one, Ben Osborne. Now, I was doing a little bit digging for a stat before this. I mentioned this. Ben Osborne has managed more than 25 games in a season, league games in a season, once in the past 6 years. There's a lot of games in a season, almost double that. So he's managed half a season every season for 5 of the last 6 years. Callum, just let that linger in your head for a moment.
Yeah. I don't know. This is tough. This is tough because when he signed, there was so much promise, and obviously he's a Derby County fan. He's from Derby. He's literally like everything. Kind of when we came up to the Championship, he's kind of everything we wanted. He's played in the Premier League. He's played in the Championship. He's a Derby fan. What's not to like? And then I saw him play, and yeah, it wasn't the best, and he hasn't lit the world alight by any stretch of the imagination. So yeah, I'm going to say sell, but again, I've said it about 3 players. I don't know who would take him because he just hasn't played well and he hasn't played enough. So I don't know how we're going to offload him.
Ivan.
Yeah, my heart says keep, so I'm going to go with keep. I really want to like him. I like him as a person.
Oh yeah.
Other than playing for Forest, but yeah, I think he deserves somewhat of a second chance. I think at the very least, I'm sure he's great in the dressing room, and he's got plenty of experience and stuff like that. So at the very least, he's offering that. Again, yeah, I don't think you, in the nicest possible way, I'm not sure who you tell him to. Would he want to drop to League One? Probably not. Is there too many teams around us that he would want to go to? I'm not sure he could. It's a difficult one with him, but I would keep him just for the fact that he's got tons of experience. He loves the club. And yeah, I think he deserves somewhat of a bit of a chance next season when we're a little bit more stable as a club. So we'll see. But again, I don't think he'll be featuring too much earlier in the season. So who knows?
That's the hard bit for me, is that he can only play 1 game a week. It's made very public, that fact. If he plays 90 minutes on Tuesday, he won't play on Saturday. And when you're building a team to try and push up the league and the Championship, you want to build around dependable players. That's not a dependable player.
No,
you can't rely on a player that in a league that's Saturday, Tuesday, and now with all the rogue fixtures that we get, Friday, Wednesday, Thursday, you know what I mean? We're going to have so many weird fixtures this year, and the fact that we can't rely on him to play is what rules him out for me. I'm sure he's a great bloke. He seems pretty funny. Seems a funny guy on social media. Seems a nice bloke. But the problem is that as a footballer, his best game at Pride Park came for Forest, and he's played for us for a year, and that for me is indicative of where he is at Derby. I think he's fallen down the pecking order so far that I don't know how he gets out of it, unless he has the best preseason of all time and he's suddenly comes back a different player. But like you mentioned, Cal, watching him in midfield, he looks miles off it. Positionally, miles off it. He's too small. He isn't strong enough. He isn't like Tomo, sort of gets his weight about. He just kind of ends up getting run past. At fullback, he got beaten quite easily. I don't get me wrong. I thought he had some really good games at wing back. I think playing on the left side of wing back, especially at Norwich away, I thought he was excellent. I thought he was brilliant. I thought he had a great game, but we don't seem to play him there. And, he doesn't seem to think that's his position either. He came out last year and said, I'm a midfielder, I'm a centre mid. But if he's a centre mid, I don't think he's Championship standard. So for that reason, yeah, I think I'd probably let him go unless he has some miracle pre-season and comes back a changed man and 2 foot taller and all of that sort of stuff if he wants to be a centre mid. But again, he's a Derby fan. He gives his all for the badge. So at least, when he does get on the pitch, he's going to give his all. Yeah. It's just whether that's enough. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see what Eustace thinks. I think, yeah, we're probably all in a similar boat with that one, which brings us on to Liam Thompson. Now, reports have come out today that Liam Thompson's apparently chatting to Wigan. Honestly, don't blame him, because if he stays at Derby, he's probably not going to play. Derby have been linked with a number of midfielders over the last couple of weeks. We were linked with Sonny Carey, only for him to sign for Charlton 5 minutes later, which was really funny. We were linked with Camille Conte. Is that how you say it? Like the manager, the old Chelsea manager, Camille Conte, midfielder for Bristol Rovers. He's a bit in the Thompson mould, bit taller though. Gets around, holding midfield, sort of tries to dominate and control games. And it seems like the end's nigh for Tomo, Cal. It seems like he's on his way out. Obviously, it'll be on a free, but we'll get compensation for all the development we've given him. I'd like him to stay selfishly, again, another one. But I think for Tomo's career, I think it's probably time he tries something else.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I'm leaning towards sell. Yeah, I think from I think yeah. Tomo's
gone, mate.
Yeah,
He's gone.
Tomo's it's been tough for him. He showed in Eustace's reign that when he joined how influential he can be in a system. When he wasn't in the side, it was clear to see. I mean, I think it was the only games that Eustace lost where he wasn't on the pitch. So I think that says everything. But again, there's just always something about him that's never really meant that he can push on. And he's obviously gone and had conversations with the coaching staff, and he's not seeing a future at Derby County that he likes. And that's, I think, like you just said, he's not going to get the game time at all that he needs for his development, and he's got to take a selfish decision and do what his mates have done, which are like Sibley and all those, and go to pastures new and give it a go, see what happens. So no, all the best for him if he does go.
Yeah, agreed. Ivan?
Yeah, same thing. I love Tomo. We'll always remember what he sort of did for us, keeping us up. I think the fact that he's going somewhere else is indicative of what he would have spoken to Eustace about. I think if Eustace wanted him, we'd probably keep him. So I trust him that letting him go is more than fine. We'll have cover for him.
Yeah, most of the comments are saying different things, actually, funny enough. Harry Swift letting Thompson go is a big mistake, although Peter Kerr had let Tomo go. So, it's one of them where I think Hart says keep him. He's turned himself into the ultimate utility player, hasn't he, at Derby? He's done a really good job filling in so many gaps. But like you say, Cal, it's time for him to put a stamp down and move to another club and become one of their key players, which he's not had the chance to do at Derby. So it'd be really good to see. And I'm sure the whole of Derby will be cheering him on wherever he goes, just like we do with the majority of the others. And that takes us to Kenzo Houdmine. Now, a player that has got clear, obvious ability. I mean, we saw it in the first half of the season. He was given a bit of a free rein at times. Bristol City, unbelievable. When we played Portsmouth, that run, he sort of knocked it through someone's legs and put it across the goal, and there was no one there because we don't have any strikers. And then 2 minutes later, he did exactly the same thing, and coincidentally, there was no one there because we don't have any strikers. But I think Kenzo's got a future. I really do. I think he's a really talented player, and it takes a lot to win me over as a midfielder. You're looking at a midfield three right now that, scored or contributed to 8 goals at Pride Park just a few weeks back. So we know a little bit about midfielders, you'd like to hope. Cal, Kenzo, what are you thinking?
Yeah, keep, obviously. I wouldn't sell him, and I think he will thrive. I just have a feeling he'll thrive in a changed system. I think if we play a 3-5-2, I think he'll struggle. But I think if we play him in a progressive 10 role, I back him.
Ivan? Oh, Ivan's coughing.
Sorry, you just so quick there. Yeah, it was tough. Houdmine, I really like. I think he's that bit of quality that we need. And obviously, we've all been talking about the fact that we're not too worried about him not playing towards the end of the season because we just had to play such a different style of football to stay up. So I'm hoping he's going to become one of the first names on the team sheet come next year that we'll be talking about trying to keep hold of rather than whether or not he's going to leave.
Yeah, I remember I can't remember what game it was. I think it was the game after that. Maybe when we beat QPR. I remember turning to my dad and going, I don't think we'll keep hold of him after this season. and then look how it's turned out. So he's clearly got something in there. We've just got to see the rest of it, which takes us on to attackers. We'll start with the easiest one, which is Salverson, another one-legged Nordic man that we've got in the squad currently. I mean, he's a definite keep, isn't he? Looks so dangerous when he plays. I love him in the air. He's not even tall, but you hang a ball up to the back post, bang! His ponytail's flying in the wind as he hammers a header into the top corner. Obviously, me and Ivan both heading goal scorers at Pride Park recently. Know all about headers. Cal,
Ivan is a goal scorer header. You bundled it
Yeah.
in.
Wasn't it?
Bundled
It was a
in.
shoulder, wasn't it? It was a shoulder. It was a little
No,
grade.
it's about there. It's about
Oh,
there.
God,
Right
here
on
we
the
go.
cheek.
Back to Salverson. Back to Salverson. Yes, I'm keeping. I think he will be a great striker for us. I've seen enough for me to tick a box that I think with the right system, the right all the assists and all. Well, from all the wingers that we're going to sign over the window, I think, and the right offloads and all that, I think it'll be good.
Ivan, got to be on it.
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously staying. Interested to see what he does. Interested to see how Eustace uses him. But at the moment, he's sort of our only real striker. So sort of have to keep him either way. So good luck to him next year.
The absolute disrespect to Caden Jackson, Callum. Started as a striker on the first game of last season. To be fair, I thought he did all right that day. But he had a good start. He scored a few goals early on, 2 in the league early on. That one against Middlesbrough, he did really well. Took it around the keeper. Scored one against Bristol City, where Mendes Lang ran in front of the keeper and the keeper didn't see it. It went in straight down the middle. And then he scored quite a good, actually a really good header. I can't even downplay that. What a header against Luton. Obviously, we lost, but it was a brilliant header. We met him, or at least a couple of us met him towards the end of the last season. He's actually the nicest bloke ever. However, on the pitch, he's not done very well. And that's the problem, isn't it, Cal? There was a time last season when we had Niambe and Jackson on the same wing, and I thought about throwing myself off the top of the east stand. It wasn't great viewing. I just don't think this is his level. I think in League One, he'd actually be incredible. Like, if you smack balls in behind, like that Joe Taylor that was on loan at Lincoln a couple of years ago, just smack balls in behind, get him to run onto it, and he's going to score loads of goals. But I don't think it's going to be in a Derby shirt. I think we've got to move on, haven't we, Carl?
Yeah, again, I think he's a player that has like the ability in terms of his physical ability. He's quick, he's tall, but he just suits 2 different positions in 2 different ways, and it just doesn't work in the way we want to go. And yeah, the productivity you get out of him, it has not been there. So yeah, so I'd let him go again. I've said it 3 or 4 times now. Don't know who's going to take him.
Ivan?
Yeah, I would. I'd let him go. I'm sure he's a lovely guy. But yeah, 5 goals and assists in I think 46, 45 games. In the league this year, so just wasn't good enough for us. And didn't even. There was elements of like Yates where I wasn't happy with finishing and positioning and stuff, but he worked so hard off the ball that you couldn't really argue with why he was in the team. Jackson was a very confusing one for me, so more than happy for him to move on.
Yeah, I feel sorry for him. I feel like he's been brought in and played in positions that probably don't suit him under the previous management, and it's not helped him at all. So hopefully he can find another club and really smash it there, because you can tell he's a good guy. You can tell his heart's in the right place, and it'd be good to see him succeed. And on to Dejon Brown. Now, this is less of a keep or sell, more of a keep or loan, Callum. I mean, currently, if we let him go, we're a bit light because Salverson's got 1 leg, so it'd be a bit of a challenge. To be fair, Brown's only got 1 hamstring, I think, at the minute, so it's not looking good going forwards. I think that Blackett Taylor Haldmine front two's not looking too appealing to me. But Cal, would you keep Dejon Brown around?
No. I'd keep him in pre-season. I think we need to, because otherwise the goalkeepers aren't going to have any players to actually kick some balls at them. But I think, yeah, I'd loan him. Putting one out there, I would consider maybe reuniting him with Warne in League Two, because I think that they do crosses. He's got Mendes Lang in there now. I think a lot of productivity. Saw at Gateshead, he can put the ball in the back of the net. I think he could thrive in League Two.
We want him playing in front of a crowd, though, Callum. So let's not send him to MK Dons.
That's true. That is true.
Ivan,
did they sign McGoldrick in the end? I don't know if that's happening or if that's happened.
No idea.
Probably. I think they're about to get him. So if he goes there, then I wouldn't send him there. But yeah, no, I think he needs a loan. He's 19. He's obviously shown glimpses of being a good player. So yeah, I wouldn't sell him. There's not really much point. And yeah, definitely see what he's got in pre-season. I think Eustace is finally a manager who looks at youth. So maybe he sees something in him if he has a good preseason and gets himself a better loan or something. But we'll see. Yeah, I do like him as a player, though.
This inevitable brace against Matlock will get us all thinking, this is the man. This is the man. He's done it.
Who
He's
needs
finally done
Galveston?
it. Yeah, Galveston. Stay in the med bay, mate. We don't need you out. And that takes us to our final player. It's Corey Blackett-Taylor. Now, I put him in the thumbnail. My God, was it hard to put him in the thumbnail. Find a picture of that man in this season's kit. I was trawling through Getty Images. I was going through everything. Mate, there's about 4 pictures of this guy playing for Derby this season. It's mental. I genuinely couldn't find one that was in like actual quality. It was so difficult. I mean, Callum, he's clearly got something. He can move his legs in a manner in which not many other Derby players can. You know, that ball, I think he played a couple of balls over to Salverson on Salverson's debut. I think Salverson got quite unlucky. The keeper made a couple of good saves, but he'd beat his man. He'd go left, he'd go right, he'd cross it in. If he cut inside, it worked against Norwich, didn't the 50 other times. But he's got something. The problem is he's never fit. We're saying this quite a lot today. I mean, I think he's possibly worth the gamble, because he might actually do something. And realistically, no one's paying money for a player that's been injured for 2 years. But what do you think, Cal? Is this his year? Does CBT come good?
I've seen in the comments people want him to succeed. I'm gonna say if we sign wingers, which I hope we do, looking at this squad, very threadbare at the moment. I would let him go. I just, that injury record horrifies me, and I don't want to take gambles on players anymore. I think we've gone past that now. We've gone past the need for gambling. We just need to sign players who are championship quality and actually fit and can stay on a pitch more than 60 minutes. Or 30 minutes would do. So yeah. So no, I would let him go.
Ivan.
Yeah, I'm letting him go. It's relatively easy for me. I just think injuries, like, I don't love what he does all the time. Like, you know, I think people get excited because he can do a couple of step overs and looks fairly exciting, but his general output hasn't been great, even when he's played. I don't think he's massively warranted a lot of the sort of hype that he gets that I've seen on, you know, Twitter and stuff. But yeah, again, it all mounts on with every player that we've said. If we can't get backup, then there's no point getting rid of any of these players, so to speak. So I think, yeah, I'm not as high on him as other people. Maybe, again, Eustace could get a tune out of him, but for me, it's a fairly simple let go.
Yeah, it's a difficult one because I love players that get you off your seat, right?
Yeah.
And he is one of those players. His output hasn't been great at Derby, but then he's also barely played and he's not had a consistent run. But then again, when he has played, he's sometimes not looked quite right. So I think last season my bum was firmly glued to my seat. I can remember getting off my seat roughly about 3 times all season. You know, there wasn't a lot of excitement, was there? And he's one of those players that can kind of occasionally get you excited. You know, watching Jackson run 2 yards forward and then turn around and pass back to Matt Clark. You know, I don't want to see that. I want to see a winger run at someone. You know, where's Yamal? Where's our Yamal? We need one. We need a Lamine Yamal. Can he be that man? No, but he could be. He could be. So maybe for me, yeah, I'm maybe more in the middle than you guys. But yeah, it'd be nice to see him succeed, especially after all the hype. I know he got hyped up a lot, maybe probably unjustly, but yeah, it'd be nice to see him deliver. Mendes, he's gone. So that concludes the team that we had. For what it's worth, I probably would have said keep him actually.
And me, I would have.
Now he's in League Two, so what do we know? But right, that's the whole squad, which is quite threadbare, as we mentioned. We've got 3 midfielders now. Tomo's apparently going to Wigan. 4 attackers. One of them's about 12 years old, so it's not looking great. We could do with a couple of players, but I think we've just got to say, let's chill out. Let's not get wound up because deals don't get dull on the first day. We'll have been in a weird position at the end of the season where we didn't know what league we were in, so players are not going to commit. You're not going to commit if you're a championship player when the club could be in League One. So it'll be good to see what Derby do in the next few weeks, hopefully leading up to that training camp. Hopefully they get a good friendly because I'm not flying over to see us play Huddersfield. So it'd be good to see what Derby can do. So let's chill. Let's chill. Although Callum's not chill. Callum's in the chat every day going, "We haven't signed someone. We haven't signed Eustace out. We have to sort of calm him down. We have to restrain him. Jamie ties him down. Adam has to sort of send him to sleep with a lullaby. All that sort of stuff just to chill him out a little bit." So. Thank you for joining us today. Hope you've enjoyed it. It's been a little bit longer, but it's been good fun. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as we have. It is been a pleasure. If you did enjoy, please do leave a like. Please do subscribe. All of that sort of stuff. It does genuinely make a real difference if you do. And give us a rating if you listen on Apple, Spotify, whatever you listen on. If you give us a rating, especially if it's a good one, it makes us feel very happy as well. Because, we do this stuff for you guys. So we're really grateful that you do enjoy it. So, thank you very much. Don't know when we'll be back. Maybe it's next week. We'll see. Will we ever sign someone? Who knows? It is goodbye from me.
As the great preacher Stephen Pearce said, squad players first. Goodbye from me.
Let's get some more sugar in the team. It's goodbye from me.
I love it. We can't have too much sugar. We'll get players picking up injuries left, right, and centre, mate. We can't live with that. Diabetes all over the pitch. Can't be having that. That's a football manager injury. That is. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you soon.